Hey y'all, welcome to Colored Couch Conversations, a podcast where I have intimate conversations with women of color on my couch. Today, my guest and I will be discussing black cards, microaggressions, and dating. I'm your host, Jazmyn W., and my guest today is a stand-up comedian and podcaster, and she's been on Amazon Prime Video, Just for Laughs, which is really hard to get into, y'all, SF Sketch Fest as well. She's also the host and creator of, or I think co-creator of Black Card Rehab podcast, which is featured on Earwolf and Hoo Ha Ha. Give it up for Kristal Adams. Hey, Kristal.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Girl, I'm so excited to have you. I must let y'all know that before we get started, follow Kristal on Instagram at The Dark Kristal. That's TheDarkKristal. And I've been a guest on your podcast, Kristal.
Yes. We talked about a different world.
Yeah. So, okay, explain to everybody what Black Card Rehab is, because it's such a cool concept.
So it's a podcast where me and my white friend Paige, we kind of do a deep dive, sometimes just us, and a lot of times with guests, where they explain to us something in Black pop culture that they really love, but that I personally might be a little shaky on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do know the thing that the guest is talking about, but I really love when it's a lot, things that I don't know, because I just felt like the experience that I was having as a Black person, not knowing a lot about Black pop culture, was actually more common than people think. Like, I think a lot of people think every Black person knows like somehow they're just like born into this world already having seen Roots. You know what I mean? But I just like, that wasn't the case for me. And I know that's not the case for a lot of Black people. So I thought it's more funny for me and more fun to not be in a place of like authority, like to not, to kind of be more vulnerable with my lack of knowledge than kind of coming with like, all right, I know about this, like, let me impress you with that. Like, I have been pretending that I've known certain lyrics to songs for 15 years.
I can't even. Why do you think you don't know as much as about Black culture as, like, say, a Jazmyn who over-identifies with being a Black woman?
So, I mean, it was never an issue about like not identifying with being Black, but I think more so like the thing is that especially with Black pop culture things, what I find fascinating is when I ask people like, what was the first time you were aware of this? And then they always have an interesting story. Like, well, my mom exposed me to it, or like my cousin, or like, well, I didn't have any good male figures in my family, so they just let me watch New Jack City at 7. Like, you find that everybody came at all of these things in very different ways, and it just so happened that my parents, I didn't have older brothers and sisters at the time, so like I didn't have them to expose me to these things that other people got exposed to. So it's just like, I'm a kid. My parents will let me watch whatever I want to watch on TV. I don't have any direction. I'm like, I'm going to be locked on the Disney Channel. How about that? So it's just like, that's just what happens when you don't have an outside influence. Like, I think people, because they've known a lot of things for so long, they forget that it was somebody else who introduced it to them. Like, you're not just 6 and like, I want to watch Waiting to Exhale. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you had to have somebody in your life kind of like already watching those things, or like, that's just what's on in the background, maybe at holidays. And like, that just wasn't the case for me.
Like, what are your parents like? Because
they've seen a lot of these things that I haven't seen. They just never exposed me to them.
Because they were good parents.
Exactly.
You know what? Like, that is so true. I never thought about that. And even when I was a guest on the podcast, I never knew why you created the podcast. So that's very interesting and cool. I will say that my parents, who are awesome parents, are very, like, my dad is he's so inappropriate that he exposed me to all types of shit. And he was just like, it was so contradictory too. You know what I mean? Because I grew up super Christian. Mm-hmm. But like my mom doesn't curse. My mom didn't really wear skirts above her knee. Like my mom is this very conservative, like sweet woman. Less so now that I'm an adult. But my dad we'd go to church every Sunday and then maybe even Bible study on Wednesday. But then he'd cuss and he'd be drinking beer every night. And then he'd have like Martin Lawrence on. And when something bad came on, he'd be like, close your eyes. You know, it's like... What? Like, how am I exposed to all this stuff I'm not even supposed to be watching, you know?
Yeah.
It's because he was reckless and your daddy wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah. They were also like, yeah, pretty like Christian, and like they kept me pretty... I sheltered to a degree, but then at a certain point I was all of a sudden allowed to watch MTV. I don't know if I was allowed so much as like the channel was there and they just didn't know that I was watching it.
Yeah.
But but same thing. Like I wasn't, like being exposed to that. I mean, my dad, sometimes I've been telling my dad about some of the things I've been watching. He was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I'm like, why didn't you ever say anything? Like,
he's like, because you were 10.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow. Well, y'all check out Black Card Rehab. It's such a good podcast, and there are already so many episodes out that you don't have to. You can catch up. You know what I mean? I hate when I go to a podcast and there's like 2 episodes. It's
yeah.
Well, we always start the podcast with the quote of the day, and you know this quote because you chose it. And it's I'm so nice. I'm everybody type. Goddamn right, I'm so nice. Jesus Christ. I'm better than the hype. I give you life. By the Carters on the Everything Is Love album. I will say I was so happy when I saw this because this is the first music quote that I've had on the podcast after 20 episodes.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? It's like you can choose music too. Why did you choose this? Why did you choose this quote?
Well, first of all, Beyonce is so inspiring to me. Like she's pulled me out of multiple like mini depressions.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when I listen to like either a piece of music or like a whole album of hers, like I think in particular Lemonade, but like the Homecoming tour, like there's something about watching her that makes you feel like anything is possible.
Yeah.
Even, with the circumstances that you're in, it makes me feel like I can overcome this moment in time. And, because it's the circumstances that equal Beyonce are pretty unlikely, like just the fact that there is this Black woman that is just crossed over, like everybody, like there's not one race of men that is like, we won't, you know what I mean? Like, of course there are racists out there, but like across races, people are like, yep, Beyonce's it.
Yeah.
And that being the case, while simultaneously we're still having issues of like colorism and racism, like those two things are existing at the same time, which is fascinating in itself, right? That we've got this woman that like really is everybody's type.
And I would even argue that the most racist person, if they had the opportunity, would not just sleep with Beyonce, because most men would, because they'll sleep with anything, but would bow down to Beyonce and grovel at the opportunity. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And this quote I really love, and I remember I shared it with somebody because it gave me chills when I heard her say it.
Yeah.
Like for a long time, like I was single, and I was single and in LA, which is like a double condemnation.
Yeah.
Single, Black, and in LA. Don't ever do it. I don't recommend it. But like I was single for a really long time, and I knew that what was happening for me was that like I had been educated, I've been given like kind of this pedigree that makes me like fit, quote unquote, for a certain type of man, but that those men weren't interested in me. And so what I love about this quote is that she kind of decided that she would be everybody's type. You know, it didn't feel like she gave anybody a choice. Yeah. Like she just decided, no, I'm gonna appeal to everybody, and good luck trying to resist me.
Wow.
And I love this song because I'm So Nice has this double meaning of like, on the one hand, it's like talking about nice, like you're fresh, like you've got your shit together, like you are, what everybody should want. But also like I'm a nice person. I've not heard anything bad about like people who work with Beyonce. Maybe they all sign NDAs. Maybe she's a total cunt behind doors. Like, I don't know.
You know what? Republicans against the deep state think that.
Oh,
they do. They think she be eating babies and shit, and she's cast spells. But that's another topic. Some people believe that.
I'm sure it's I can't. But yeah, I've heard so many positive things about her in that way as well, and it's just like there's not one way to be successful. Like, it's not like you don't have to be a complete, mean trash person. And also like being nice does not preclude you from success,
Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole Beyonce episode, but the one thing I will say is last night was Mama Tina's gala. And the clip of Beyonce, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the clip of Beyonce doing her corny joke came out. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Don't watch it unless you have 15 or 20 minutes just to watch it over and over, because that's how she captivates. Like, wow. I think that I'm nuts, because I watched the video 15 times at least. And then I go to the comments and then I see a couple of other comments say, I watched this so many times. It's because you just want to watch her over and over. You know what I mean? So she is nice, and she is everybody's type apparently, because I watched that video so many times.
I'm going to have to watch that. Yeah. And also the line in the song, she says, I'm better than the hype too.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing. It's just like, you don't ever hear about a bad Beyonce concert. Like, I've never personally been. I would love to go one day when I have millions of dollars, because it's so expensive. But like,
I've been.
And the thing is like, I don't think anybody has come away saying it wasn't as good as they said it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
The thing about the Beyonce, I went to the Carters, the most recent one. And what's funny is I said, I'm just to the point in my career financially to where I can afford this. So how are y'all doing it? And I have a good ass job. So how are y'all? I paid $360 for this, and it was, I had a pretty good seat, not a really good seat. And I don't remember anything because I'm just there with my mouth open the whole time. Seriously. You have to see her multiple times in your lifetime, because that was the first and only time I've seen her in concert. I literally do not remember anything about it because I'm there, shocked that I'm there.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. But I want to strive to be better than what the hype is about me.
Yes.
Even better than that, because then you're setting a goal for yourself rather than like just trying to not disappoint people. Like, I think not disappointing people is not a good motivator.
Yeah.
Especially for creative pursuits, I want to be better than what people expect that they're going to get.
Yes. Oh my God. That is a word right there, Kristal. It is. It's such a good word, y'all. If y'all don't hear nothing else in the episode, strive to be better than the hype, baby. That's so good. Okay, well, Oh my goodness. We always start the episode with random questions as well. And I have a few random questions for Kristal. The first one is, what made you become a comedian?
So I was pretty like, I don't know, a mix of spiritual and religious for a long time. And when I started comedy, it really felt like a calling. And I still believe it. I still would interpret it as that, because I spent most of my 20s really like going after different artistic things. And because I wanted to push myself to the limit to see if this is the thing that I was supposed to do. And what happened was that in pushing myself in all of these different things, I found like another piece of me or another thing that I wanted to do. So I tried dance for a while. And then I was doing more like acting. I was trying to pursue acting, and I was like, I'd like gotten this Shakespeare internship and like the whole thing. Like as I was kind of doing acting and like considering like comedic acting, stand-up comedy kind of started to come up. And by come up, I mean come up like randomly, either in my thoughts or like in meeting people. And it kind of felt like these like divine moments where, and it really, and to me, I really felt like it had to be an intervention by the universe, because I would not have done it otherwise.
Yeah.
I really like, and for like, there was a period of like 3 months where I was like, I'm pretty sure that I'm supposed to do this and try this. And I cried every time I thought about it, because I knew that like, you know, like there was this fire in my belly towards it. And I knew that my, like, it felt like my life path was kind of designed to go in that direction.
Yeah.
But I was so terrified and terrified of like, you know, all of the things that people say when they meet stand-up comedians, you know, like, oh, it's so scary. Like, you know, people heckling and like, you know, like looking like you don't know what you're doing, all of this stuff. Like everything I'd pursued artistically up to that point, I'd been able to perfect behind closed doors before showing people. Right.
Yeah.
And with stand-up, you can't do that. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was, I would say, yeah, in short, it's just, it was kind of the universe conspiring for me to like achieve this life path.
Yeah, that's like the main thing. Like if anyone is listening and has known somebody or is thinking about doing comedy themselves, a lot of people think that they can perfect it behind closed doors. They're like, oh, I'm going to write, 15 minutes worth of jokes. First of all, that is 3 minutes worth of jokes. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you think your 15 minutes is worth of jokes without ever going on stage, that is 3 minutes. Okay. And then secondly, you can't do it in your room. Despite popular belief. So, okay. Well, listen, I have some more random questions for you, but let's take a break really quick. This has all been really good so far. So y'all can take a break and hear from our sponsors. Okay. We will be right back. Hey y'all, welcome back to Colored Couch Conversations. I'm your host, Jazmyn W, and I'm here with Kristal Adams. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at The Dark Kristal. That's TheDarkKristal. And we're still talking about random questions. So my second random question for you is, what happened on the worst date you've ever been on?
Yeah, I think there was like two that I was trying to decide between. Honestly, I guess I want to talk about like the worst dating situation. I guess it was bad for a weird reason. It's kind of abstract to describe. Like it wasn't anything like, I don't know, he left me with the bill or any. It was just like this feeling, and I don't know if you've ever felt this on a date, but just this feeling that like, this guy likes me for the wrong reasons. Yeah. And there were some things that he kind of was saying, but I think at one point he said, oh, like we look good together. Like there was something odd to me about, like, I think he was over obsessed with image for himself as well, right? Like he was very conscious. Like he did this diet, which I don't want to shame anybody's diet.
Yeah.
And I've definitely tried intermittent fasting, but he was doing the kind that to me just felt really extreme, where it was like And I know people do this. So if this is your health life choice, no shame, but he eats throughout the week. And then the weekends, I think he either only eats 2 meals total for the whole weekend, or he completely is fasting for 2 days in a row. Something like that. And doing yoga at the same yeah. Like I was like, how do you have the energy to do yoga if you're not eating? I don't know.
Hold on. I just want to, nobody does this. I just want to, maybe if you're the one person listening that does this, stop. Because there's so many reasons why it makes no sense to fast for 2 days. But what?
Yeah, so he did that, and then he was dressed nice, which is I like that. Like he dressed well, but he seemed like it was overcompensating for just probably a long time, either feeling rejected or not feeling like he was also I think from India originally. So he'd been here for a while, but I think he was really wanted to assimilate and be accepted and get a girlfriend. Yeah, he kept just saying weird things and it just made me feel like, oh, I fit a lifestyle you want to live, rather than you trying to get to know me. And so it made me feel it didn't make me feel good. It's funny because for so long I was just like the men in LA, they don't look at me when I go into a room, that's trash. So it was weird to be on the flip side of that, but the wrong flip side of that, this guy is likes how I look, is into me, is interested, but it's because I'm a piece of his puzzle.
Yeah. To me, that reminds me of a sociopath. It does.
Probably.
You know what I mean? It's he's trying to fit what he believes should work, but he has no feelings about it. You know what I mean? And he's doing this thing he can restrain himself from eating all weekend. Mm-hmm. Because it's something that he knows that he has to do to keep his physique. So he has no feelings about, he's just crazy.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of that tracks. And I think, and he also was obsessed with Alicia Keys, and to the point that, so we were driving one time and he was playing it, and it was the song No One. Yeah. And I can sing, I've sung in front of audiences before, and harmonizing is a thing that I've been doing since I can remember. Mm-hmm. And he also played piano, so he was pointing out to me oh, do you hear that part? He was pointing, and by that part he meant the harmony. I was like, yeah, dude, I hear it. Everybody knows the harmony from No One. Also, it's the simplest song in the world. It literally is 4 notes, he really thought he was impressing me. And the time when we hooked up, he had Alicia Keys concert playing in the background. I was like, this is so odd.
All of it is odd.
Yeah.
All of it is really odd. All of it is just so odd. You know what when you told me about the Alicia Keys No One song, it's no one can get in the way of what I'm feeling is the song. And it sounds like something he plays when he murders people, girl.
Yes.
Because he is a sociopath in the background, Where is he now?
Probably in Orange County still. I think he lived in Newport. That was another factor. It was not doing that.
He's probably married
engineer
now. Oh yeah.
He recently followed me. Followed me on Facebook, and I'm not sure why. He was in a band that's in quotes, and I don't know.
Somebody listening and I was like, I know him. I'm dating him now. We just had sex with Alicia Keys last night.
Good luck.
Okay, well, my last random question is, what food item do you hate so much that it could get your Black Card revoked?
So, okay, so I thought about this, and the thing is that I really, really do like just about any kind of food, and that's the one thing that, honestly, I like. It's a source of pride that I can not only like different types of food, but I can eat different types of food. Like, really, a lot doesn't gross me out. I will say I do like raisins. I know a lot of people, Black people, that don't like raisins, but in terms of like hate and liking, and this could, okay, this is, here it is. I actually prefer pumpkin pie over sweet potato. I like both.
Wow.
I like both, but I love pumpkin pie.
So, and that evil laugh that you did, the timing of that, so disrespectful. First of all, do you know that many pumpkin pies are actually made with squash?
Well, see, if you make pumpkin pie from a canned pumpkin, then yeah, so the FDA has allowed them to put not just pumpkin parts, but they can also put squash parts. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% pumpkin if you use a can.
Yeah.
But if you make your own pumpkin pie from a pumpkin, then it's all pumpkin.
So you make pumpkin pie?
I have, and I've also made sweet potato pie. Like I've said, I like both, but I just prefer pumpkin pie in my mouth.
Wow. I am shocked. I never thought in my life I would hear a Black woman say that she prefers pumpkin pie, honey. That can definitely get your Black card revoked. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, I ate pumpkin pie as a sacrifice because I lived in San Francisco for 5 years and I would never go home for the holidays. So the sacrifice that I made was going to, honestly, anywhere, but particularly Pete's Coffee, because they have a pumpkin pie there. And it was as close as I was going to get. So around the holidays, I would go to Pete's Coffee and say, "Can I have 3 slices, please?" of your pumpkin pie as a sacrifice for not going home. Oh, MG. All right, y'all. Well, I know it's early, but let's go ahead and take a quick break. And we come back, we are going to get into the thick of things. We are going to talk about Cardi B and her marriage, microaggressions, and you know, dating white dudes. So we'll be right back. Hey y'all, welcome back to Colored Couch Conversations. This episode is really, really good. I'm so happy. Now we are talking about trending topics, me and Kristal. And the first one is Cardi B, okay? She filed for divorce from Offset this week, and men had a field day, okay? I saw so many comments on Twitter about how her WAP didn't keep him home and how her WAP wasn't enough. It's as if men were excited for the failure of her marriage to happen, like right here on social media, and took it as an opportunity to roast her pussy. What are your thoughts on WAP, Kristal? Did you see what men were saying this week?
I only saw the responses of women to men's thing, which was the best. I was just like, I'm so glad, like, the internet is horrible, but like, I'm so glad both men and women get to be on the internet so that we can just like slaughter them in the comments. Like, it's, the thing is that everything that it sounded like men were saying was just like going for the absolute lowest common denominator joke.
Yep.
Which is par for the course, truly, like that. I'm used to that.
Yep.
So it was nice to see intelligent women clapping back, or just like not even clapping back, but just like asking people seriously, is this really what you wanted?
Yeah.
Like for a human being, because she's a human at the end of the day. She's a human being with feelings.
I got mad for a few reasons. Like, first of all, men on the internet, a lot of men on the internet will say anything, but not even have the balls to tell or to say any of that shit in person, first of all. Don't even pretend like half of y'all would say the stuff that you say to my face. Also, I tweeted this, but I'm like, your parents got divorced when you were 6 months old. What the hell do you have to say about this? You know what I mean? Like, your dad your dad cheated on your mama too. What is your mama's WAP like? Okay? Like, your grandmother was devastated for most of her marriage. What was that like? And they did everything that they think that you're supposed to do in a marriage. So for Cardi B to say, I don't cook, I don't clean, but I'm also a millionaire. So what millionaire does cook and clean, honey?
And also it shows that they're not listening to the song. Yeah. Like, they didn't actually listen to the lyric. The lyrics of the song have nothing to do with what a man wants. It literally is the exact opposite. It's like about what a woman wants. A WAP isn't supposed to keep a man. A WAP is completely about how a woman feels.
Exactly.
I was just like, what? Did we not listen to the same song? Like, you literally took this and made it about, you put it back into the rubric of the patriarchy because you cannot see past that.
Yeah.
You can't see without any other lens than like a woman trying to keep a man. It is not a woman's job to keep a man. It is a woman's job to make herself happy.
Period. You can't keep a man is something that was said so often throughout the 90s that men really believe that it is our job to work, to impress them, to please them, to satisfy them so much that they do not have a wandering eye. Honey, if it was my job to do that, I would literally kill myself. Like, who wants the job, the work of having you pay attention? That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. First of all, we already have jobs, like it's just, yeah, it's so stupid. I don't even understand. But that's why I can't even engage with it, because it's like the basis with which you're starting this argument is already from a place of like confusion and insanity. And I don't live there, so I can't even get you out of what you're in.
It's just crazy too, because the first thing I thought when I heard that they were getting divorced is, damn, he lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He just lost. Literally. And men are like, ha ha, you couldn't keep him around. I'm like, no, honey, he just fumbled the bag is what he did.
He really did. And any, I don't know, goodwill that we had towards him was for her sake.
That part.
Like at least none of me and my friends liked him for who he was. We're hoping good things because we wanted good things for her.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right. I said this on TikTok. I was live on TikTok. I said, what is your favorite song from Offset's last album? Let's be clear. Oh, man. Well, wishing the best for Cardi. She did come out. I caught the last 4 minutes of her live when she went live yesterday or the day before. But she said, don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm not crying. I'm not devastated. Mm-hmm. She said, I'm going to be fine. Listen to my new single, period. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next trending topic is, people online really relate to my microaggression videos. If you follow Dark Kristal on Instagram, you sort of spill sort of like your internal thoughts periodically. I would call them your internal thoughts. Mm-hmm. You have worked in the corporate circuit, is what I would consider corporate circuit when you work for anybody else around white people. As a Black woman working in corporate America, what's your advice for dealing with microaggressions in the office? And I get this question a lot from Black women, a lot, and other women of color, actually, Latino women, Asian women. So what would be your advice?
Well, I mean, I've kind of had different rounds of this. So right now, I'm getting ready to transition out, but right now I've been working as a receptionist, which somehow became essential. So I have to actually go into a job every day. I've not had the pandemic that I deserved,
that's crazy.
Personally. So I actually have still been experiencing this because, the company is filled with different people, and I won't go into the details of what kind of company it is, but it's like it's rough some days.
Yeah.
When I left my job with the bank, which was like really, really corporate, I needed to regroup and be and really step into who I was as a Black woman and like make sure that that was taken care of. Like it felt like a sinking ship.
Mm.
This was like 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the prequel to the uprising that we're having now.
Yeah.
But and so I left a lot of things. I left jobs, I left a church. And so on the other side of that, of like kind of gathering all the pieces of me that I kind of had let like I felt like I'd given to things and to people, and like really like becoming one person rather than a disjointed person. On this side of it, I kind of have a laser focus about who I trust and what I expect from people.
Mm.
And what I expect from people without being so pessimistic, but I just expect less from certain types of people. And I just allow myself to now be pleasantly surprised when they prove me wrong.
Mm.
Which feels like a much more powerful place to come from, because I feel like I'm kind of steering my own ship rather than allowing these relationships with people to surprise me. I think a lot of times the microaggressions are more hurtful
Yeah.
when you have kind of bonded with your coworker, or you
Yeah.
feel like there's a connection there. And so now I kind of go into it with like, all right, I have like my eyes are wide open. And so I'm like, okay, this set of people, because of their background, they're going to have to prove that I can trust them in these areas.
Mm.
I'm not going to come into it believing that they get it.
Yeah.
I had been giving too many people the benefit of the doubt because we had aligned on like certain political issues, sort
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
that and so I stopped doing that. And so I think my main piece of advice is like, stop expecting the people that seem like they get it, stop expecting them to get it,
Yeah.
even if it means you have to like be a little bit guarded. I know that sounds pessimistic, but like, the thing is that there always will be somebody eventually who will prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And that's even better when like that person has shown you like they can be trusted with certain things, like they're not, like it's the whole pearls before swine thing, not giving precious things to people who haven't earned them.
That's so crazy. I'm thinking about, as you explain things to me, I'm thinking, okay, what about me? Like what are my range of emotions here? As Kristal tells me about her experience, how do I relate? You know what I mean? I agree because, and, I can hear my white woman's voice as a white woman might listen to this podcast and say, well, you can't expect the worst from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do with men.
Mm-hmm.
So why would it be any different because you're white and this has been my experience? And the one thing I will say is like I really don't expect much from people, and I didn't working in corporate America, and I really don't now. But the older I got and the more I did that, and really like the more mature I become, I do expect people to rise to me. Like you must meet my expectation when it comes to how you treat me. So even though you don't expect much from people as a receptionist in your current job, how do you hold people accountable for how they should treat you? Especially as a receptionist. You're a Black woman, you're intelligent, you're creative, but you're also a receptionist. So you have to be told what to do to people. People expect some level of service from you. Mm-hmm. in most jobs, but in this job, that you're in right now. So how do you demand, or how do you, set expectations for people, or demand respect from them, or get respect from them?
Mm-hmm. The thing is that because I kind of have this approach of like, I trust who I trust and I don't trust who I don't trust, people, maybe it's just like my persona, but people rarely, at least the ones that I regularly work with, people rarely feel like they can overstep.
Yeah.
And like I've seen like with my other friends, and she maybe she's a little bit better at like kind of like being friends with people who she even disagrees with.
Yeah.
But I've seen her get close to people who I'm like, I want to get close to this person. And it's not that this person is a bad person, but I can tell that this is a person who likes to hear herself talk. She's really into what she's recently learned about race and racism, you know, and she will overstep. Yeah. And so I kind of I'm tight-lipped around her, and I know she notices it, and I know she feels a way about it, but I don't give into it because I don't have the emotional capacity to carry this woman into freedom. Like I don't have it in me to bring people into the consciousness that like just because you gotten it right, I put that in quotes, does not mean that it's time for you to speak. Like there's a lot of people that have like been learning and they still feel like it's time for them to talk, and it's not.
And I would like to point out one thing though too. She works where you are a receptionist. Why is she talking to you about this? Where are her black friends? Because when she learns something, why is she coming to you to talk about? Y'all not friends? Y'all work together.
Exactly. So she will have that moment with my coworker who's also Black, and she'll try to do it with me. It's funny because even the other day, like I wrote this sketch and I put my coworker in it, and I thought it was fun and funny. And I was like, I wanted her to see what she would look like in a mini sketch that I'm working on. And so I sent it to her, and then without asking me, she sent it to this woman.
Oh, Lord. Why would she do that?
I know. And the funny thing is that this woman who is white, let's just, we all know that she's white. She came and she was like, so she sent it to me. She was like, you are so talented. This sketch was so good. And really that's where it should have stopped. Right. And or it should have ended with like a question. Right. But then she starts going on and on and on and on. And like, meanwhile, I'm just sitting there. It's like 5 minutes into this woman's, I don't even know what she said. But I'm like, you like your voice too much.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, because I am a very sensitive person, I get my nervous system gets really shaken up with like certain types of confrontation. Yeah. I figured out like when I left my other job that I needed to preserve me.
Yeah.
And so preserving me meant like, you don't even need to make those kinds of attachments to put yourself in that situation. Yeah. Because it's too much. If we're really going to succeed and like get past this, I need to be at 100%. And part of that means not having anything taken from me that I did not choose to give. Like emotionally, psychologically, explaining, like walking people through like systemic racism. I can't. I've been sucked off at like I've been like leached off so much for so long, and I will not do it anymore. At least not for free.
Damn. And like people listening have to really hear how like exhausted you are from all of the people who you've spoken to about this, and maybe even trusted, or maybe even people who thought that or who you thought would understand you, and after explaining, maybe they still didn't, or they pretended like they got it, and then a week later showed that they didn't. And we've all had these experiences, and we all just express it in different ways.
And I'll say too, like the biggest lesson that I learned was to become very comfortable with awkwardness. Like, because the thing is that what happens is I felt more compelled to save the situation if it felt awkward, right?
Yeah.
By allowing myself to explain things that I didn't feel comfortable explaining, or that I felt like people should already know. And so I started to unburden myself of feeling the need to care for the comfort of others.
Yes.
So if somebody's uncomfortable and I didn't do it, it is not my responsibility to make them comfortable again.
Yeah.
And that is a big lesson that we, especially women, need to learn.
Yeah.
Be okay with somebody else being uncomfortable, especially if they did it.
And I would even, once you get there, I would take it a step further, because I will say that I'm the type of person who, I wouldn't say that I work to make people uncomfortable, but I'm the type of person, I throw up what I think and what I feel. And if you're uncomfortable, I don't really care. Like, I really do not care, and that's something that I've had to learn over time. Mm-hmm. I love it when people are uncomfortable. Especially a certain type of Black woman too, that I consider myself. Like, I didn't go to an all Black school, and I grew up Christian, which is, you're supposed to be very polite, and I'm from the South. You make things right. You always make things right. And when you take that pressure off of yourself, such a relief.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This guy, so this is the wildest thing that's happened to me recently. This guy, we have guys that come into our job, and then they have to like pick up a packet, and then like they basically secure that packet as it's traveling. Mm-hmm. So there, we have a lot of people that come in that we haven't seen. And so this is a guy that came in, I had never seen him before. And he's like, around the office, getting his stuff together, working on like, getting prepared for this trip. And so we're helping him out in between that. And he's about to leave. He says goodbye to us. He's about to leave. He gets to the door. He's like, I forgot your pen. And then he's about to leave again. And then he comes back. He's like, okay. And about this Black Lives Matter thing.
What?
Yes. Apropos of nothing. We weren't talking about it. We were just two Black people just sitting at the desk.
And you know what I would have said right then? I would have said, let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Have a good day. Not here to talk about it. Call your daddy, because I'm not here to talk about it, period. And what did he say? So
then he went into this long story, which the summary of which was that he wanted a cookie, right? He told us the story about like when he was still a police officer, and like he helped out these guys.
I'm going to stop you right there. There are some good ones.
But I'm
going to stop you right there at police officer. Okay, right. Sir. Anyway, girl, I'm sorry. But
and then like the thing is it was so confusing that we had to piece together what he wanted after he left. I was like, so wait, what was that story? And I was like, oh, he wanted a cookie. I think in his mind, the Black Lives Matter movement is at any moment in time consisting of whatever Black person that is in front of him. And he needs to prove to us that there are some white people, because in his mind, Black Lives Matter is an anti-white movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And an anti-police movement. And in some ways, I may not disagree with that last part, but like, he doesn't even work in the force anymore. So like, why is he defending a job that he doesn't have? Yeah. So it was so confusing. We just literally just stood there with our mouths open, because we were like, what? Like, what is this? Like, he'd already been weird earlier that day, but it hadn't been weird like this. So yeah, he kamikazed that little anecdote,
and here we are again with me stating, why is he talking to you about this? Where are his Black friends? Where are his Black family? Why is he approaching you as a receptionist at a random place about this? Here we are again.
Yeah.
That is actually a very nuanced thing that a lot of people don't realize about my videos. They're like, well, this person was just asking you about, this person was just trying to, why are they asking me? I make it very obvious that we are not cool like that. We work together. That doesn't make me your soundboard for Black issues to bounce off of, honey.
Yeah.
That just made me mad, Kristal.
Yeah, it made me mad too. I was just like, if I didn't, I bet I didn't need this job. The thing is that in the past, I've had bosses that I know would back me up, and things like this, but that's not the case in this particular job. And so I'm like, this is a check. This is a check. This is a check. And I eventually will not have to be here. There's been so many more like humbling and at times degrading things that have happened at that job that had nothing to do with race. Yeah. So this all kind of just fits into like, hopefully one day this will make a really great screenplay kind of job play.
It will. It will. All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and we always give advice at the end in what I like to call the Keep It Real corner. And somebody wrote this to me on Instagram. They said, what are your thoughts on the N-word? Is it okay for white people to say it if they're using it in an endearing way? Hispanic people, Filipino people, who can say it? What would be your advice?
I would say only Black people can say it. And look, if you want to have some other kind of arrangement in your home, that is another story. That is, I'm not in your home. I can't, but, and this is how I've explained it to my one coworker who is Mexican. And I said to him, I was like, the way he came at it was like, I grew up around all Black people. Like, this is how I grew up. Like, we're all saying it. And so it's weird for me when I go spaces and it's not okay, or it like puts people off. It's just part of my how I talk. And so I said, the difference is that if I don't know you, and look, you could be completely sane, but like, say I do something that makes you angry, you can always use that word and hurt me. If I make a Black person I don't know angry, if they use that word with me, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like that's what it comes down to. I had a friend who like, there was some kids in the street where she was walking home one day. She's Black, and there were some Latino kids. I don't know what she said, but she was kind of like, like scolding them because they were doing something, or I think they were talking like wild about women or something like that. And then they just started calling her the N-word. Yeah. To hurt her, right? Because they knew it would hurt her, right? But if it's like, if it was some Black kids, it's just like that. I mean, it's not going to hurt her as much, because we both can exist as that word. Yeah. There's an equality in that word. Like, yeah, you may hurl an insult, but like the crux of the insult is not going to be the N-word for me. Right. It's going to be whatever you said around that word. Mm-hmm. And you ugly. Yes, exactly. So that's what I think it's the power differential of, how you can affect somebody when you use that word. I will never be able to hurt him with that word. Right. I've said this, on the podcast before. Anyone who identifies as Black can say the word. If you identify as Black, you can say the word. I'm Dominican. Are you Black? Yeah, I'm Black too. Okay, you can say the word. Oh, well, I'm mixed. Can I say the word? Do you identify as Black? Yeah, my dad's Black. Okay, you can say the word. Period. Yeah. If you're not Black, you can't say it. If you don't identify as Black, you can be Black and Latino and say the word. But you can't not identify as Black. You can't say, I'm not Black, I'm Mexican. I'm not Black, I'm Filipino. I'm not Black, I'm Indian. Well, you can't say it, and I don't care how dark you are either. If you don't identify as Black, you can't say it, period. End of story. Okay, Kristal, I have really enjoyed this episode. This was so good. So fun. What do you have coming up? How can people keep up with you? I do send out a newsletter from time to time if I have something big that I want, people to know about. So if people want to be a part of that newsletter, you just go to my website. It's kristaladams.com. And there's a box that will ask for your email, and then you'll be added to my newsletter. And like you said, you can follow me at The Dark Kristal on Instagram. But the only thing I have going on is like from time to time, I have some Zoom shows. And we did a spec script reading of this spec script that is. So yeah, there's some projects from time to time that come up. Yeah.
Well, Kristal, I've loved having you on the episode. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on the platform you're listening on right now. And if you loved Colored Couch Conversations, make sure to tell someone about the show, okay? Do not be selfish. You can follow us on Instagram at Colored Couch Conversations, or you can watch the show on my YouTube. That's comedian Jazmyn W on YouTube, spelled Jazmyn. Thanks to my dad, and thanks for listening. And thanks, Kristal.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.